see also what happened in Genesis 22, verse 17 to 19, which I would like to ask my helper here, Pastor Chuma, to read what God through an angel said. I'm trying to show you the genesis or the beginning of the covenant between God and Israel. It began with Abraham. What does verse 17 say?
That in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven.
Yes.
And as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies.
Yes, verse 18.
And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice.
Yes. So this is where the covenant was initiated by God. To Genesis chapter 12, Abraham was a pagan in terms of his practice. Abraham lived and was born in Babylon. He served the gods of Babylon. And so the covenant between the Israelites and God was initiated upon Abraham's life. What it means is those who lived before Abraham were not a covenant people as far as the law is concerned. What it means is Terah, the father of Abraham, died in his pagan practices, as well as the other brothers of Abraham, like Nahor, who then became the father of Bethuel, and so forth. Now, we want to read Acts chapter number 3, verse 25. Why I'm reading this scripture, it is because this is the first problem. The first problem we have with the Sabbath proponents in the New Testament is they mix these things. They say we are believers, so we must observe the Sabbath. But the Sabbath was not established for believers. The Hebrews were not believers. They were simply a covenant people. God never required them to believe for them to be called a nation of God. Let's read verse 25.
You are the children of the prophets.
You are the children of the prophets.
And of the covenant which God made with our fathers.
What did God say?
Saying unto Abraham, and in thy seed shall all the kindreds of the earth be blessed.
So let's end there, Pastor. Those who want to verify this might go back to verse 22, where Peter was clear. He was addressing the children of Abraham. It's chapter 2, Acts chapter 2, verse number 22. Yes.
Ye men of Israel.
You men of Israel.
Hear these words.
Peter was not addressing us here. We are not men of Israel. We are not a people who were required to do it. Now, when you go to Genesis 17, you come into a scripture where God then established a covenant of circumcision.
Yes.
Which is what are the two prominent features of the Mosaic law. We have the Abrahamic Covenant and we have circumcision. So, verse number 1 and 2, Genesis 17.
And when Abraham was 90 years old,
verse number 1 and 2, he was 99 years old. The Lord appeared to Abraham, yes, and said unto him, yes, I am the Almighty God. I am the Almighty God. Walk before me, and be thou perfect. Verse number 2, and I will make my covenant
me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly.
Yes.
And Abraham fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying,
okay, let's end there. Those who want to continue perusing this scripture, let us read verse number 10. And this is my covenant which you shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every male child among you shall be circumcised. So what we need to clarify as we start this debate is that being a person who must observe the Sabbath does not begin of God, being baptized, believing in Jesus. Observing the Sabbath does not start by being baptized and believing in Jesus. what must be your admission requirements if you are going to observe the Sabbath? You need to be a covenant child of Israel. And as we know, all of us, the circumcision covenant between Abraham and God is cemented in the Torah in Leviticus, where every man child needed to be circumcised. So by the time me and Evangelist Marufu get to where we are now adults. We are no longer able to wake up and say, we want to join the Church of Israel.
No.
The Church of Israel is not something that one must wake up and hear a sermon and say, I want to believe in Jesus. I want to receive Jesus, like what they say. I want to be baptized. What got you into the Church of Israel was circumcision. And as you can see, like I said in the beginning, the covenant or the Old Testament was not about believing. This is why circumcision was done to a man child 80 days after his birth. God did not want the child to grow up, develop his own mind, hear the gospel or the teaching of the law, and then say, I want to join this, the teaching of the law, and then say, I want to join this church, so I will start observing the Sabbath. So the Sabbath was never meant for believers, and this is why we will find out from Evangelist Marufu, where we see, number one, the New Testament observing the Sabbath.
Yes.
Because like I'm telling you now, the New Testament in its very own nature, that New Testament, it means it is outside the auspices of the Mosaic law, and this is not conjecture. This is not my own idea. This is Hebrews chapter 8, verse number 13. When God says the New Testament, he has made the first old.
Yes.
Now that which decays in this context, the law of Moses, it is waxed old and ready to vanish away.
Yes.
You can go to Hebrews chapter 10, verse 9 and 10, when he says, I come to fulfill that which is written in the book, or to do the will of God, or God, he takes away the first covenant that he might establish the second covenant.
Yes.
So believers are not required to observe the Sabbath. The Sabbath was not meant for believers. It was meant for a covenanted people whose conscription into that covenant had nothing to do with believing. Moses did not believe, and then he got circumcised. Aaron did not believe, and then he got circumcised. So once you talk about believing,
yes,
you are already outside the constitution or the legal instruments around which or upon which circumcision was established. Then the second issue that I think we are going to also ventilate, this is an opening statement, and I want to emphasize, the Sabbath was not meant, believers are not meant for the Sabbath. The second point is, there is nobody today who is observing the Sabbath. Anybody who claims to be observing the Sabbath is only not understanding the true prescriptions of the Sabbath. In shona ndiri kuti hakuna munhu izvezvi ari kuobserva Sabbath. Those who claim that God rested in Genesis chapter 2 and that's where Sabbath started have not understood how to read the scriptures. The Genesis chapter 2 scripture does not say God observed the Sabbath. It says God rested. The word in circumcision to observe the Sabbath. And so the idea of resting on Saturday does not constitute observance of the Sabbath. The Sabbath had instruments of divine worship.
yes,
Not going to work on Saturday is not observing the Sabbath. It is simply rest. And I will prove throughout, when I get some more time, through the scriptures, that on the Sabbath, Israel had instructions. They had to bring 2 sheep,
yes,
according to Numbers chapter 28,
yes,
from verse number 10. They had to have a priest, They had to have this one and that one and that one. So even as we speak now about the Sabbath and say Christians, should they observe the Sabbath or they shouldn't? I want to contend, and I'm yet to be proven false or wrong. There is no human being today, especially the Gentiles, who is observing the Sabbath. Going to church on Saturday is not observing the Sabbath.
No.
Because God did not go to church on Saturday in Genesis chapter 2. The Israelites did not go to the temple only on the Sabbath. We will show you throughout many things that observing the Sabbath had its own prescriptions.
Yes.
So if we say you're observing the Sabbath, you should show us the New Testament prescription Sabbath is observed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Apostle Chiwenga, for those opening remarks. You have heard, viewers, Apostle Chiwenga makes bold claims and statements that no one in this New Testament era or no one in this time can observe or is observing the Sabbath. So, with evidence of these opening remarks, it means Apostle Chiwenga is for the notion that the Sabbath is not observed in the New Testament era or context. I'll leave this time to Evangelist Marufu to give his own opening remarks. And we'll also need to address that this debate is being received by an international audience. So vanhu vanogona kuti taine Shona chete, asi we'll mix Shona and English just to make sure we accommodate everyone. So Evangelist Marufu, you can take it away. 15 minutes of your time.
Tinotenda mutungamiri handidi kutora nguva ndisina kugara ndapinda muNew Testament. So nyandoda kutanga kuadresa panapa ndekuti according to Jesus himself muNew Testament asati afa Jesu aitenda here kuti Sabata richaramba richichengetwa after the cross. According to Jesus after the cross, because kana tiri kutaura kuti auya zvinoreva kuti hatifani kuona Sabata richiramba richichengetwa after the cross. Ava vaijoina church vaifana kuramba vachiziviswa kuti Sabata ratiri kudiscussa, then maybe kungogara taclarifya word ratiri kudiscussa rekuti Sabbath riri kutorwa rekuti Shabbat zvinoreva kuti rest. Saka zvikanzi remember the Sabbath, remember the day of rest, to keep it holy. So while we are resting, you must keep the day holy. So but tisati taendeko kunga ndiwe pana Jesu timbonza kuti Jesu aitendera kuti Sabata richaramba richitendwa, because tikagara tagadzira ipapo I think nyaya yedu yatonaka according to Jesus himself watiri kutera. So Matthew chapter 24 ndiyandira kuenda pamuri pairi iri kutsanangura maevents ekuguma kwenyika. So Matthew 24 panapa abvunzwa mubvunzo verse 3 akati agara pagomo remurivi vadzidzi vake vakauya kwaari ari woga vakati tiiko. Saka vanoda number 1 varikuda kuziva kuti zvinhu zvataurwa zvekuparadzwa kweJerusarema chekarini, number 2 chiratidzo chekuuya kwaJesu, number 3 kuti iye wacho acha in what manner. Saka Jesu akatanga kutsanangura maevents anolead to his coming. Kureva kuti zvinhu zvandada kuverenga pazasi mafuture events. So you are going to see kuti paari kuunza mafuture events achataura nyaya yeSabata. Zvinhu zvandiri kuverenga zvichaitika iye atofa atoenda kudenga. Saka kana zvichaitika afa aenda kudenga, he must not mention the Sabbath, because according to him and according to discussion in tiri kuti Sabata hakusisina. But amazingly you are going to see kuti Jesus is going to prove us wrong here. Matthew 24 verse number 17 noti akutsanangura maevents anolida to his coming. Anoti ari pamusoro pemba, pamusoro pedenga remba, ngaarege kuburukira kuzotora zviri mumba make. Verse 18, nouri mumunda ngaarege kudzokera shure kuzotora nguo yake. Verse 19, vachava nenhamo vane mimba namazuva nevanomwisa namazuva iyayo. Sakanzi time kuri kuya time yekutambudzika mberi, bhozi ati mazuva iyayo nyengeterai kuti kutiza kwenyu kurege kuva pachando kana nesabata. Saka Jesu abva ataura zvakanzi nguva iri kuuya nguva yenjodzi, vanhu vachatambudzika, vanhu vachadzingirirwa, kuchaitwa persecution kumberi yemakristu. Asi persecution kana yakuitwa, imi muchigarai manamata kuti vachatiza vanhu, musatiza iri nguva yechando. Number 1. Number 2, musazotiza uri musi wesabata. Saka according to Jesus, Jesus is recognizing Sabbath in future times. Right, saka tikasere tiende mubhuku raActs, maapostles akanga asara vakaramba vachisangana here nemusi wesabata. Let's read panapa Acts chapter 13. Inotiradza from verse number 13 to 15. Inoti zvino Pauro navakanga ainaye vakabva Paphos ndokusvika Pega paPamfiria. Johana akabva kwavari ndokudzokera Jerusalemu. Verse 14. Asi ivo vakabva Pega vakasvika Antiochia paPisida, vakapinda musinagoge nezuva resabata ndokugara pasi. Zvino murayiro navaprofita zvakati zvarabwa, vabati vesinagoge vakatuma shoko kwavari vachiti, varume hama, kana muine shoko rokududzira vanhu, taurai henyu zvaitika musi wesabata izvi. Sabata rapera. Verse 42, mubhuku raActs, Jesu atofa aenda kudenga. Zvino vakati vachibuda musinagoge, vakavakumbira zvikuru kuti vaparidzirwezve mashoko iwaya nesabata rinotevera. Zvikanzi mudzoke next Sabbath. Vakadzoka here next Sabbath. Verse 44, nesabata rakatevera guta rinenge rose rakaungana kuzonzwa shoko raMwari. Saka there was pane consistency yekuratidza kuti weekly Sabbath vanhu vairamba vachisangana. This is after the cross. And munhu ari kuita zvinhu izvi ndi Paul. Right? Paul, ngativerenge Acts 17 verse number 3. Verse number 2. Acts 17 verse number 2. Sabata matatu, 3 Sabbath. Paulo achitaura nawo zvepamagwaro. Resabata tikabuda kunze kwesuo kurwizi pataiti vanenge vaungana. So nandiri kuverenga Acts chapter 17, Acts 16 verse number 11 to verse number 15. Panapa tiri kutarisa tichiona zvikutaurwa na Luke achinyora bhuku raActs. Ari kutaura panapa hanzi naizvo takabva trakoti nechikepe tikarora masummer talk, tifume mangwana tikaenda naPoria, tikabvapo tikaenda Makedhonia raiva koroni yeRome. Right, tikagara mazuva muguta iroro. Nezuva resabata tikabuda kunze kwesuo rorwizi pataiti vanenge vaungana vachinyengeterapo, taigara pasi tikaparidzira vakadzi vakanga vaunganapo. So you can see from this verse kuti vana Paul vari kuRome havasi muteritori yemaJews, but sabata vari kutoti takaenda kunze kweguta because kwakusina church, sinagoge yavangaungana. Saka ari kuti takaenda kunze kweguta tichida kunonamata nezuva resabata, tikasangana nevakadzi. Vakadzi ava hanzi vakanga vachinamata, ndo vatatoparidza on Sabbath day. Dai kwakuine sinagoge yemaJews, taiti maybe vanga vari kuteera tsika yanga ichitwa nemaJews. But panapa zviri kutonzi Lydia, mutengesi wenguo, she was a Gentile. She was baptized on Sabbath day. Right, saka tiri kuona kuti there is consistency in the book of Acts kuti sabata riri kuramba richichengetwa. Jesu ataura akati kumberi kwamuri kuenda munamate musazotiza munguva yechando kana nezuva resabata. Taverenga maapostles tiri kuona kuti there is consistency also, they are keeping the Sabbath. Every Sabbath vari kusangana vachiverenga shoko raMwari nekunamata. Right, I want also to draw your attention muchurch history. sabata rakaramba richichengetwa here? Mukapinda muchechi history pane madocuments anoda kupai, because we all know kuti tine machurches atinawo. Tine Catholic Church, tine maProtestant churches, tine maPentecostals. Catholic Church is considered as our mother church, because ndo iri kutora iri kutambidzwa church from the pioneers, from the apostles, after they have been persecuted, yainfiltratwa mutime yedark ages. MaCatholics anonyora madocuments ari panapa vachitipa mucatechism yavo vari kutotaura, because ava tinokwanisa kusimbisa pfungwa dzavanotipa, because ndo chechi yakatambira vhangeri in the old time muchurch history. So you can't dispute that, because ndo vakauya vakatipa tese tiri kuzvarwa tichibva kuCatholic Church. MaProtestant Church ndivana Methodist, Baptist, Lutheran vakabuda muCatholic. Vamwe ndobva vabudawo vana Jehovah's Witness, SDA chichifamba maPentecostal. Saka tikanga tichidzokera muchurch history tiri kudzokera kuCatholic Church. Saka vane mucatechism yavo, because vanhu vakanga vachigamuchira vhangeri vakanga vachichengeta sabata. Tinoudzwa panapa Roman Catholic Church, and those who observe the day observe the commandment of the Catholic Church. So panapa according
claims and statements being made by Evangelist Marufu that the Sabbath was observed even in the New Testament context. We opened quite a number of scriptures. Yes, Evangelist is back.
Yes, I'm back. Okay, thank you very much. I think internet should drop up, but it's fine. So nada kukuverengera another statement. Iriku nada kukuverengera. Hello. Yes, Pastor.
Evangelist.
Yes, nada kukuverengerai another statement yatinowana mu book ripana paronzi the News Elizabeth, the News Jersey, March 18, 1903. Ari kutaura pana panonzi Priest Bradley. Ari kuti pana, it is well to remind the Presbyterians, Baptists, Methodists, and all other Christians that the Bible does not support them anyway in their observance of Sunday. Sunday is an institution of the Roman Catholic Church, and those who observe the day observe the commandment of the Catholic Church. Vari kutaura maProtestant churches according to church history. Saka havagoni kuchinja, maCatholics anga asingagoni kuchinja zuva reSabata kubva paSaturday kuenda paSunday. Iro ranga risisachengetwe nemabelievers, nevanhu vakanga vagamuchira vhangeri. Magentiles akagamuchira vhangeri from the apostles, vakanga vachichengeta Sabata sekuverenga kwataita mubhuku raActs. Ndobva varamba vachirichengeta, but chechi payakaitwa infiltrated, maCatholics ari kutokonfirma kuti vakachinja zuva from Saturday to Sunday, because rakanga riritori Sabbath day raiobservwa. Also, let me draw attention to Catholic Catechism. Vantaura pana ndikutoverenga page 50, third edition ya 1957. MaCatholics anotaura panapa kuti pane pari kubvunzwa question and answer iri kuitwa muCatechism. Pakanzi question, which is the Sabbath day? Answer, what Saturday is the Sabbath day. Question, why do we observe Sunday instead of Saturday? Zvikanzi akatochengetere Sunday instead of Saturday. Zvikanzi answer, we observe Sunday instead of Saturday because the Catholic Church in the Council of Laodicea, AD 364, transferred the solemnity from Saturday to Sunday. Catechism yemaCatholics, church yemuchurch history vakatambira vhangeri richibva kumaapostles, havaigona kuchinja Sabata kubva paSaturday kuenda paSunday. Iro Sabata racho ranga rapera. Unochinja chiripo hauchinji chisipo. Vakanga vachiona change yakauya because vakaona mabelievers vachiita, we know, and we know kuti after this church yakapinda panguva yakaoma. Ndo zvakaita kuti church muchikaverenga muchurch history pane time inonzi time of dark ages. Dark ages akauya because church yakanga yashandura zvinhu zvakawanda. So from what we are reading, from what we are getting, tiri kuona kuti Sabata riri kuramba richichengetwa, vanhu vari kuramba vachiritarisa, harina pari kuratidza kuti rakapera muchurch history ririmo. I think ndo pfungwa